What's up, guys? Checking in with you here on the evening of March 9th. It's about 6 p.m. as of me filming this. We've had some new Q drops today. Big ones, exciting ones. I'll probably get to those in a live video that you might see before I get the chance to get this one out. But as for this video, I want to discuss everything that I found most interesting and most important over the last couple of days. And the topics we have on deck, we'll be getting to a situation with Trump's motorcade, some Huber news, and some Sessions news too, actually. And then some Hannity news, some comments made on Hannity's show last night that tie in with everything that we're hearing from Q about big things coming up. We had a situation out of Canada where the opposition leader there was taking questions during an open forum, and then one of the questioners mentioned the Clinton Foundation and child trafficking and sacrifice, actually, in his inquiry. This was caught on camera. The world is waking up, most definitely. Then we'll be getting to all the other things that I love to talk about: Big Pharma, the FDA, the Space Force, and then some of my thoughts on free energy technologies and that Quantum Initiative Act. So let's start. First of all, thank you, Zach Holler. Shout out to him for putting out this Medium article the other day. He called it "The Washington Post QAnon segment was something out of 1984. Most definitely was. Writing the Post's attempt to discredit Q in that video they put out, the one with the interview I did with them, fell flat, and it completely did. It was such a dud, and that's why I haven't even bothered to waste my time filming the reaction piece or putting out the recording I have of the interview, because it was such a dud, and we have so many other things going on and huge things coming up, it looks like, that I don't even have time to waste on that anymore. I might get to it, but maybe, probably not. So shout out to Zach, and we'll see if they keep this up on Medium, because I saw recently that they closed the account of Martin Geddes. Medium did, and if you're familiar with Martin Geddes, he's a prolific Twitterer. He had a Medium article up about Q that had hundreds of thousands of views, and they closed his account because of supposed extremist views, and then saying that he was basically spreading misinformation. So shoot, should I do like a daily censorship bit where I go through all the groups and accounts I see that have been closed? I mean, I really should, shouldn't I? Because these are the folks that are saying the right things. They're the ones over the target. And they need our support too. They need us going to their backup accounts and to the accounts, the other ones that they have up. So shout out to Martin. I'll be linking his Twitter below, and I'll link some of Zach's stuff as well. I really like both of their work. Now let's get into the situation with Trump's motorcade. So video shows a crash near Trump's motorcade yesterday. I'll play this video. You can see the car hits the Medium, and if that Medium wasn't there, that car probably would have gone into one of the cars of Trump's motorcade. So very scary situation. Was this just a distracted driver, or is there something more deeper, more sinister to this? And if it was just a one-off incident, I might think just a distracted driver and a coincidence, but of course, is anything a coincidence? And the fact that this has happened before. Back in 2017, car without brakes nearly slams into Trump's motorcade. Another video was taken of this incident, and the car basically came down this hill and almost again hit a car of Trump's motorcade. So the fact that we've seen this before, we sort of see a pattern emerging here. And the fact that there's a lot of variables we can take into account that are very real in this situation, like the fact that cars can be hacked into, right? Cars newer than what, 2006, 2008, they can be hacked into. Individuals can be mind controlled to do things like this. It's a very real reality. Technologies exist to do that, okay? And the fact that we have a president in office right now that a lot of individuals don't want in that position, right? So again, distracted driver, something more sinister. You decide. I'm starting to see certain patterns emerge with all of this. And let's keep Trump in our prayers, because he is most definitely putting a lot on the line for all of us. Now let's get into that Huber news. So Huber taking to his Twitter, Q linking one of Huber's tweets the other day. Huber putting out another one here saying, the attorneys thoroughly enjoyed their time meeting with AG Barr, Attorney General Barr, this week. He is a solid, proven leader with a clear vision for the Department of Justice. Q then telling us to keep the calendar updated, and I think soon we can expect the ending of Mueller's report, that FISA declassification, and then that OIG report. If we're looking at that calendar that Q gave us, I think that's what looks to be what we have coming up. And then coinciding with some of Q's drops today that I'll get to in that other video, these next few weeks are going to be grand. Then we have some news from Sessions as well. So the American Oversight, I just came across this organization. Apparently they're a nonpartisan oversight watchdog that uses FOIA to hold the government accountable. They're saying here, I mean, they don't sound too nonpartisan, but saying in this tweet, Jeff Sessions caved to Trump's authoritarian demands. We obtained a signed directive from Sessions to a federal prosecutor ordering a wide-ranging investigation of Hillary Clinton. And you can guess it, that prosecutor was Huber. So is it a coincidence that this news is surfacing right now? But that signed directive from November 22nd, you can see 2017. This is what was unearthed. Anons have knew the whole time, right? Amazing. Anons have also known to trust Sessions. Wow. It's as if Sessions' job was to install Huber, and he did exactly that. Sessions did exactly what we needed him to do, and then new individuals there in place of Attorney General for the next phase of justice, correct? So trust Sessions. I most definitely did. I hope you did too. I hope you trusted the plan. And Huber is going to be unlocked very soon to do some big things. And then let's get to those comments from Hannity. So Hannity on his show last night saying exactly this. He said, according to my sources, everything we've been revealing about the deep state for 2 years will very soon result in major serious ramifications. And then just today, Q mentioning unsealing of indictments very soon. Q mentioning huge things coming down the pipeline. And if you remember, back on the 6th, Q linked a tweet in regards to Hannity where Q said, we hear his sources are very credible. Boom! Amazing the clarity you have when you see the full picture. All right, now let's get into that situation in Canada. This was actually quite astonishing. Scheer, his name's Andrew Scheer. He was holding an open forum, like I mentioned. He was taking questions, and one of the questioners, and I'll link the video down below, one of the questioners mentioned how Justin Trudeau has donated a lot of money to the Clinton Foundation, and then he mentioned how the Clinton Foundation has been implicated in things like child trafficking and child sacrifice. And a few incredible things came from this question. Number one, the audience applauded. Most of the audience actually applauded this. I didn't hear any boos in the video. I didn't hear any nays. I heard an applaud. And then Andrew Scheer, his response to it was also incredible. Now, he didn't mention the Clinton Foundation. He didn't mention sacrifice. He kind of, dodged that part of it. But he was talking about Trudeau's money, is basically dodging it, talking about Trudeau's money. But what's not said often says more than what is said, correct? And the fact that he dodged it and didn't even reference it, pretty incredible stuff there. Pretty incredible. And the mainstream news in Canada taking to the wires, saying Scheer says he didn't hear question about Clinton, quote, Pizzagate lie during town hall. Now, first of all, the word Pizzagate wasn't even mentioned in this video that went around. So all of this mainstream media, I've seen a bunch of folks on Twitter, those blue check marks, I've seen a bunch of articles like this come out about it, all trying to bash Pizzagate. Pizzagate wasn't even mentioned. It was child trafficking in the Clinton Foundation. So you can see, I mean, just they got activated so quick to try to shut this down. Pizzagate lie, as they're calling it. And Andrew Scheer, he had to dodge this even more. When asked about this later after the fact, after the open forum, he said that he didn't hear the question. So I totally understand his response. He's staying out of it, saying he didn't hear it so the mainstream media doesn't go after him. But they're sure going after Pizzagate in this. They are extremely scared. And then check this out. After that happened yesterday, QAnon and Pizzagate started trending on Canadian Twitter. You can see there, QAnon trending, people messaging me saying that's the first time they've ever seen that trending in Canada. Not only QAnon, but Pizzagate was as well. The world is waking up, and I love it. Now moving on into vaccines, another topic that a lot of people are waking up to. CNN putting this out today. It's not just measles, but mumps, whooping cough, and other vaccine-preventable diseases are still in the U.S. Okay, CNN, well, you forgot to mention that outbreak of whooping cough in LA right now, where 100% of the individuals in this outbreak were vaccinated. All this propaganda we've seen coming out about vaccines is just so incredibly garbage. If you saw my video yesterday, I went a little bit more in depth into all of it. I'll link it up there. But I mean, guys, this is one of the biggest red pills there are. Q is a massive red pill. Vaccines is a huge red pill. I mean, there's so many topics that are so catalyzing to a person's awakening. This is why the deep state propaganda outlets like this, they are full front against everything right now. Against geoengineering, against vaccines, against Q, as we know, against even the ET topic. I mean, a lot of misinformation put out there about UFOs and ETs. Everything. They're trying to patch up all the cracks in that dam they can. And still discussing Big Pharma, I saw this come out today. FDA approves first immunotherapy regimen for breast cancer. And the way I see it is that what the pharmaceutical industry is calling immunotherapy will be the, quote, next big thing in mainstream medicine. Okay, but I see it as kind of being a dog and pony show. Yeah, these immunotherapy regimens might be more effective and of course less toxic than chemotherapy, but I bet you they're gonna cost a pretty penny. And if you actually break down the word immunotherapy, we're just talking about therapy for your immune system. And really, you can do therapy for your immune system right now. There's plenty of cheap, natural things out there, things you can do that is immunotherapy to yourself that you don't need the pharmaceutical industry for. For instance, when it comes to cancer, you can use something like medicinal mushrooms like chaga, reishi, and especially turkey tail. If you're looking at breast cancer, look into turkey tail mushroom, especially Paul Stamets, world-renowned mycologist Paul Stamets, and his testimonial on his mother who had breast cancer, who used turkey tail mushroom to help heal herself. So there's a lot of things that you classify technically as immunotherapy. Medicinal mushrooms, you can literally change your diet up. I mean, just doing a much better diet, therapeutical, nutritional diet could be immunotherapy, right? So we got to be very careful with how they are bringing preconceived notions into wordings, into ideas. The deep state propaganda does, and especially the pharmaceutical industry. So take the time to research health for yourself. Know thyself, guys. One of the most important things you can do to free your mind is start getting your body healthy as well. And lastly, let's move into talking about free energy in space. So I saw this from NBC today. It says solar farms in space could be renewable energy's next frontier. China wants to put a solar power station in orbit by 2050 and is building a test facility to find the best way to send the power to the ground. So I'm seeing a lot of talk in mainstream media, mainstream science, especially about solar power and about nuclear fusion, how these technologies are going to be the next best thing to save us from climate change or the next best frontier in renewable energies. But you know one thing I don't hear mentioned? 0-point energy systems, free energy. Over unity devices that utilize electromagnetism and output more electricity than it takes to run them. These very much exist. They're very cheap. They're extremely effective. I mean, you have over unity. You have something that's producing more than it takes to run it, free energy. And most importantly, these are decentralized. Decentralized. You don't need to pay power bills. Everything becomes cheaper. And you can be off grid. Wow, amazing. I would love that, right? House way out in Timbuktu, don't have to be hooked up to anything, got electricity and heat. Well, that's not being talked about. And all this stuff on the Green New Deal, on climate change, on nuclear fusion, it's all a limited hangout. It's them giving you a piece of the truth that's twisted in context, and there's a whole lot they're not telling you. And so much could be said about the science and about the history of suppression of these sorts of technologies, what you can do with them, etc., etc. But I am interested to see what's going to come out with that Quantum Initiative Act that Trump signed. And the White House tweeting about the National Quantum Coordination Office being set up as a part of it. So I'm very interested to see if that Quantum Initiative Act is going to be utilized to start bringing some of these over unity devices and even quantum communication and other scalar energy, other possibilities with that sort of physics, with that sort of hidden esoteric sciences, bring these out to the public. Quantum Initiative Act might help do that, and also the Space Force. So talking about the Space Force, I saw this today, and it totally slipped by me yesterday, but this big news, Air Force Secretary Heather Wilson to step down. Air Force Secretary Heather Wilson. And I'm using spacenews.com's article here because they're putting a very intriguing twist on this having to do with the Space Force. And her actions really lead me to believe that she was somewhat opposed to the Space Force. She let a memo slip out in the middle of last year that essentially stated her estimation of the Space Force cost would be $13 billion. And that really made a lot of people question her intent, her agenda. Why would she let this memo sort of slip out there? Department of Defense at the time, Deputy Secretary, now Secretary Patrick Shanahan, he said, no, it's not going to cost $13 billion. It's really only going to be like $3, $4, $5 billion. So there was almost this like struggle between Heather Wilson and Shanahan and various individuals in the Pentagon bureaucracies to stifle the Space Force and to bring it forward, So with her being gone, I'm wondering what we could see by way of the developments in what they call the quantum coinciding with the Space Force. Space Force gets created in 6, 12, 18 months. That Quantum Initiative Act starts getting up to speed. These things start getting disclosed and brought forth into the public in a very sort of benign, seemingly organic way, for the optics of it all, to keep the public peace. So, that's kind of what I'm seeing sort of long-term, 6, 12, 18, 24 months. Space Force, Quantum Coordination Office teaming up, maybe, Don't hold me to that, but I'm sort of calling it right here. That's the way I personally see things. So that's my video for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We talked about a lot of good stuff. Be talking Q coming up here very soon, and then much more stuff in the future. I'm out for this one. Done.